Coming up, people are coming together to learn from a rabbi whose message is simple. The writings of the past can help us to live more meaningful lives today.
He makes it sound like it's everyday, common, good advice.
That story and more when The Best of Us continues. Welcome back. On The Best of Us, we celebrate the unsung heroes of our society, people who work for the good of others, often for little recognition or reward. Our next story is about a man who, over the years, has touched as many as 100,000 lives. Randall Pinkston tells us how.
Walking along these streets, you could be in a foreign land. The sights are different. The practices are different. Even the language is different. But this is not a slice of life from some faraway city. It is Crown Heights in Brooklyn, New York, just across the bridge from the most famous skyline in the United States. Crown Heights is home to a Hasidic group of Orthodox Jews, known as the Lubavitch sect. Many people think of this group as strange, divisive, and isolated. But from within their midst, one man is reaching out and transcending that reputation.
There's a famous analogy that when it's cold in the room, you can either do two things, one of two things. Either you put on a fur coat and you keep yourself warm, or you light a fire, and then everybody is warm.
It would have been easy enough for Rabbi Simon Jacobson to stay in his cloistered community. Instead, he is building bridges, a surprising ambassador for a teaching and a message of healing that speaks to all people, regardless of religion or race or creed.
You know, going around with a beard and a yarmulke is clearly a statement. It's not neutral. And some would even say, have someone who've even asked me, aren't you uncomfortable? You talk so universally. You'd be so much more accepted if you didn't have that beard and yarmulke. On the contrary, I think this is a great opportunity to break down stereotypes.
Breaking down stereotypes is one of the ideals that has driven this unassuming rabbi to venture beyond the boundaries of Crown Heights. Every Wednesday, he gets in his car and makes a trip, crossing the bridge into the secular streets of Manhattan to build another bridge.
God created a material world for us to spiritualize.
Reconnecting people to the meaning not only of Judaism, but of spirituality in general.
The critical component that's missing in any established religion or spiritual system is relevance. Keyword relevance.
So for 15 years, Jacobson has taught a free class to restore that relevance.
Birth is God saying that you matter. And whatever society tells us that you're another statistic on someone's balance sheet, the mere fact that you exist is a vote of confidence in God that He wants you here absolutely, unconditionally.
The key is empowering people with the confidence that you do have a soul, you can access it, and you don't have to be terrified of it. And more importantly, you can learn how that soul can help you in your life.
The class has never been advertised, but word of mouth has swelled its ranks. The students are a mixed bag, young and old, Jews and non-Jews, artists and professionals. What they come to hear is the contemporary spiritual message that Jacobson finds in an ancient text.
The Torah is the book, they say the biggest bestseller in history. The Torah meaning the Bible for some, and what it offers is not just a religious system, but a universal system.
And when we look into a story in the Torah, we have to ask the question, even if it sounds irreverent, who cares? Why do I care about this story? Why do I care what happened with Abraham, with Adam and Eve? What is the relevance?
What I think Simon does, which is very wonderful, is he makes it sound like it's everyday, common, good advice. And he always has great anecdotes, and he talks about the Torah as like the greatest self-help book. I mean, it's the oldest self-help book in the world.
He is so human. One thing I love about him is his grasp of the human condition.
Sensitive to people's prejudices about religion, the rabbi will often use non-traditional language.
Instead of using the word God in the discussion, I used words like higher reality, absolute states of subconsciousness, undefined states of non-existential existence. You know, you get that idea. And after a few weeks, a fellow came over to me and said, "Are you talking about God?" And I said, "I am, but shh, don't spoil it for the others."
The result is a message that speaks to all, regardless of religious affiliation.
When I heard Simmons speak, and I compared it to the great Catholic thinkers and speakers that I've heard, or the great books on Islam that I've read, or works within the tradition of Buddhism, there is a common truth there. There's an absolutely common truth.
Everyone is in search for a deeper meaning. We are basically, as humans, unsatisfied with animal bliss. We need things like love. We need things that are sublime. And we will search for them no matter what.
His methods are unorthodox for an Orthodox rabbi, and he wages his battle for tolerance on two fronts, both among Jews and in the world at large. It is especially poignant today when a council of Orthodox rabbis has declared that non-Orthodox Jews are not Jews at all.
From my point of view, there is no such thing as orthodoxy, conservative, reform. These are man-made bureaucracies that have no place in a world between God and human being.
Jacobson never claims that any of what he teaches is his own invention. He comes from a long tradition and credits his teacher, the late Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, for much of his work. The Rabbi, as he's familiarly known, died in 1994, but his legacy lives on in a book written by Jacobson.
He's completely imbued with the Rebbe's teachings, but the way he has written them in Toward a Meaningful Life has made it available to all peoples. I mean, this is a book it's like a miracle. It's a mainstream book.
Toward a Meaningful Life has sold over 100,000 copies.
I've given it to many people in different walks of life, Jews and non-Jews. I've probably given away 150 copies, and everyone loves the book.
Suddenly, Jacobson found himself on the publicity circuit, visiting more than 70 cities. It is a labor of love, since none of the profits make their way into the author's pocket.
It's been amazing for me personally, also humbling, because when you travel and you see people from so many different backgrounds and cities, and they all share basically the same problems.
Back in Crown Heights, the rabbi is hard at work, but the job is far from done. So he'll keep teaching and talking and writing, committed to helping people find themselves and more meaningful lives.
I was taught that knowledge, education, is synonymous with responsibility, that what you know you have to share. It's not a question of options. It's a question of life and death, spiritually speaking. Not that I feel that I am saving lives, but the compelling need to share and to light a fire instead of putting on a fur coat.